Yeah, in my case, I have a Bosch ActivePlus. I had the problem that when you turn it on and ride the bike, you get this empty flashing battery and error 530. For a long time, I thought it was the connections underneath here. So I actually squeezed down these things to hold it down tighter. And then I saw this nice post that said, you know, maybe you tighten these things up too hard, that warps the whole thing and it makes a bad connection. But actually, in my case, this thing fell off because the bolts got loose after a while. I didn't notice after I bought the bike. It was only connected by one, so that didn't help. I kept getting worse and worse, this problem. Finally, I saw this post about this battery connector here. I managed to get this out eventually by taking off this cover first. You take off this screw, and then you can pop this thing off. And then I tried sliding this thing down to push the battery in. That didn't help. And then I tried putting foam on the bottom of the battery to try to push it away. That didn't help. And then I read in a post somewhere that this thing can get corroded, so I cleaned this all out with alcohol. That didn't help. Finally, I saw some posts that, you know, the thing, sometimes some wire breaks inside. In fact, that's exactly what did happen. See this green wire right here? Some crappy build quality of Bosch caused the soldering to just break off. By the way, to get this out here, you have to first undo a couple of screws, and then you have to pry this thing apart until it pops apart, and then eventually you can pry this thing up here until you can get the screws on it. Right, look like this, and then you can pop this thing off, and then you can pop out these things. And so what I'm hoping to do is to you know, resolder this in place. Plus, obviously, you need a crank puller. Basically, to pull off the crank, I have this crank puller here, but I had to hit it with a hammer. I mean, those cranks are on super tight. So I had to hit with a hammer, and it took about 15 minutes to get one of the cranks off. Finally, with two people, it was a nasty job, but we managed to solder the wire back on where the old wire is without them coming off. There's still some whiskers sticking out here, but you could probably just snip those off. But boy, is it nasty. Good luck with that. Don't forget the flux. Okay, finally this thing is all put back together again. It's really a pain to fit this piece into here and get this piece at the right spacing, but there's some little grooves inside here that everything kind of slides together. Once you have it all lined up, I mean, it's good to note the orientation of these things before you do it, but before you take it apart. But once you take this screw out and this Torx screw out down here, you can kind of slip the whole thing apart and get at these wires. Putting it back together, you know, it takes the usual, you know, fiddling around for 10 minutes to get it all lined up right without. Yeah, don't forget this kind of water stopping cover. Pop this cover off, which comes to the side like this. Put that thing on, and then snap these on, which kind of snap up. When you first take it off, you think you're breaking it, but it kind of just butterflies apart at the bottom. That seems to have fixed it. You can see the bike speed start up. Speedo's working, so it's connected to the motor. We're all good. You can shake the thing around. Doesn't disconnect. Success.